Well, and hello and welcome everybody to the new health conversation. And I want to address the sensors right off the bat. I want to assure you that one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we do not give you any reason to think that anything that we're sharing is not absolutely original content. We quote from medical studies that are in the public domain, meaning anybody can see them. Everything we're talking about is safe. Everything's been backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. We've also written 4 best-selling books with some of the top medical doctors in the world, and we have no products to sell. There's nothing on our website to buy. So this is not about buying anything. Also, we compare that to other medical studies on the subjects we're talking about in comparison. Nothing we're talking about, we don't make any claims. Claims are for other people. There's plenty of people on social media that'll make claims. We don't do that, okay? So anyway, Gail and G New, you're 2 of the first new people on here today. That's wonderful. So look at this, mom and daughter transformed together. The daughter dropped 50 pounds in 90 days. Mom loses 91 pounds in 9 months, and they kept it off for 2 years. I mean, does that seem like that's crazy? And I'm proud to say I actually coached these 2 women. Here's the magazine. It just came out on today, on June 6th. It's now available. And in case for those who don't know, Women's World is considered the #1 women's magazine in the world. So to be on the cover of it, basically they're endorsing it. Look, over 50 protein miracle. Those are their words, not the researchers. Look, powerful new eating pattern, can take off weight faster than anything else you've tried. That sounds pretty good to me, doesn't it to you? We're going to get into all that in just a moment and explain to you exactly, this is not a diet. It's not about exercise. It's not about counting calories. It's revolutionary. It was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world after 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people. They figured out that everything we've been taught and doing about dieting was completely wrong, because it is. Because right now you've got Johns Hopkins Medical School, latest study. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by the year 2030. And yet, what do you have available to you? Calories in, calories out. Keto, paleo, Mediterranean, fasting, water fasting, carb recycling. Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, none of it works long term. None, zero. Doesn't work long term. And yet, what do? We keep looking for new diets, and all a diet is, it has nothing. You don't. Let me say something to everybody, and I don't want to make you mad, but I'd love for anybody to put in the chat the definition of a calorie. What is a calorie? What, if you don't know what it is, why are you counting them? Seriously, why are you counting calories? I've had 2 people in a year get this right. I didn't know what a calorie was 23 years ago, to be quite honest with you. So don't feel bad. But again, look at the insanity of what we're doing. Here we're relying on calories in, calories out, and I've had 2 people in a year to give me the definition of a calorie. Join the live through. Hello for you, Flow57, user 849, Lacey, ladies, LJ, Linda, Blazer. Hello to all of you. Also, if you can get some taps going, if you like the content, tap on your screen so we can get some likes and get a little bit of love going here. Let's have some fun today, but also we want to share and be very serious about the science. How did these 2, the mom and daughter, look at this. The daughter dropped 50 pounds in 90 days. The mom drops 91 pounds in 9 months, and they've kept it off for 2 years. Aren't you a little bit curious about what they did? It's not a diet. It's not about counting calories. It wasn't about exercise and 10,000 steps and making a list. Not that any of those things are bad, but they don't do anything. Or very little, let me put it to you that way. Would most of you agree that if you were going to lose 20 pounds, I'd love for anybody, just be honest. So Johnny Maston and KD and Brenda twice, and Chickenery, I think it is Chickenery. Maybe I pronounced your name wrong, I'm sorry. But would anybody like to put in the chat, if you're going to lose 20 pounds, pick any diet you want, pick any trainer you want, pick any program you want. How long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds on your best behavior? Your best compliance. How long would anybody give yourself to lose 20 pounds? But you can see, look, everyone, here's the magazine. It came out yesterday, June 6th. You understand? To be on the cover of this and get this endorsement, it's unbelievable. And not only is it on the cover, but the thing I want to show to all of you that's so amazing, there's a huge article inside the magazine where they interviewed the researcher, the top weight loss nutrition researcher in the world. If I can just find the page here, bear with me. Why is that not turning what I want? Uh, almost got it. Okay, so who would like to tell me the definition of a calorie, and who would like to tell me how long they give themselves to lose 20 pounds on any diet you've ever heard of? Here it is. So look at this, everyone. It's a 2-page article. Look at the title. Their title. That's the magazine's title. New Protein Miracle Diet. Well, the first thing, it's not a diet. And secondly, over 50 protein miracle. Well, protein's part of it, but it's not the only thing. Now, I know you're all impatient. I know you want to say, get on with it, tell us, whatever. But do you want a real solution? If you want a 10-second answer, there's plenty of people on TikTok that'll draw on whiteboards and show their credentials and give you all this nonsense, but they don't have any medical proof. Now, the magazine is not the medical proof. The medical proof are these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies that are published in the biggest medical journals in the world. Some of these studies started actually 13 years ago, and the people in the studies have kept their weight off for 13 years. I'm going to show you now, these 2 women who I coached were not part of the studies. But because of the studies, they ended up doing this protocol that hopefully all of you are at least curious about. Now you'll notice right above their head there, see it in blue, everybody, the new health conversation? It's 100% free to go there. If you go there, we won't contact you. What's on the site? Why would you want to go there? The medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. And also right above, look, free coaching. We coach you for free. Now here's the other 2 things. The researchers who created this, or us, we don't sell you anything. This is not some product. It's not some lotion, potion, pill, shot, nothing like that. It's food. But food that was, let's call it engineered, and not engineered, but it was put together by the top nutrition weight loss physiologists in the world. And the key to this whole thing had nothing to do with counting calories. After 40 years of research, they concluded. Because they analyzed about every diet out there. You all know that happens. You go on a diet, you lose the weight, you gain it all back and think, oh, it's the wrong diet. All diets are wrong. And that's not my opinion. As a matter of fact, let me just read from Medicare. And again, I know everybody's anxious for me to tell them exactly what did they do. But I want you to understand that I'm not making things up. Here's a big study out of Medicare, title, Medicare Search for Effective Obesity Treatments. Diets are not the answer. Our researchers at Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether these diets were an efficient, effective treatment for obesity. The studies showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any of these diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you doing, everybody? That's Medicare admitting that what we've been told, what we've been doing is totally wrong. They said the last line. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. But they're not the only ones. I've got study after study. I'm going to show them a couple more to you here. How about, listen to this, Harvard Medical School. Title, Stop Counting Calories. The idea, this is Harvard Medical School, direct quote. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. That's what these researchers did, and they have nothing to do with Harvard. I mean, again, I guess your opinions are so strong because we've been so brainwashed. The people that are misleading us, I don't even think they realize they're misleading us. But okay, it's Saturday. At least I'm in Denver, Colorado today. It's 11, almost quarter of 12. Go to the malls today, wherever you are around the world, and look at humanity. We have 1 billion people worldwide clinically obese. So the point is it any wonder someone finally broke the code and figured it out? It took them 40 years to do it. So let's go now to some of the actual people that were in the medical studies. Okay? So first, look at Kristen. That is not Photoshop. 21.2 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days, and no exercise allowed. The researchers didn't want anybody exercising because it would have influenced the outcome. Otherwise, you say, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. I know already I'm making all of you skeptical. I get it. But aren't you a little bit curious? Would anybody like to put it in the chat? Are you a little bit curious? How did she lose 5 pounds a week, 38 inches with no exercise? And the inches, by the way, from her neck to her ankles. And look at day one. Look at her stomach, hip area. and look at it on day 30 with no exercise. You can think it's photoshopped. It's not photoshopped. It's real. Now, the second one, this is pretty amazing. 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at her body. It's like do you all believe it's the same woman? I'd love for someone to comment. Is that the same woman? Look at her face. Look at her everything shrank. There's no diet that's ever done that on planet Earth. Anna Bananas, Implant, Blizz, Nikki, Jen, lots of people jumping on here. Can we get some more taps on that screen? We got one like. You don't like this content? This content could change your lives. Now, let me show you. This is the daughter of a friend of mine. Now, this one, you're going to really question, is this the same woman? How about 60 pounds in 3 months? 60. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her stomach area. I'd love for anybody to comment, is it the same woman? I'm not going to tell you the answer yet. I want someone to guess. No, I'll tell you the answer here in just a second. But have you ever seen anything like that, anybody? Where's the loose skin, for example? Even her arms. Look at her waist, right? And now the last one I want to show you, oh, there's more, but this one is really incredible. This is not, even though the weight loss is like out, it's going to make you out of your mind. Wait till you see the medical proof that older gentleman, 40.8 pounds, 52.5 inches in 30 days. Look at his blood work. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides, 242 to 124. There's no comparison. You know, I get people all the time, they want to come on, they want to argue with me about calories in, calories out, and it's about that. It's not. There's no calorie counting here. Now I want to explain to you how in the world are they achieving these results. So let's go back to Kristen. Let's talk about what they do. So first of all, let's figure out what the research is, why they said diets are huge failures. And here's why. Dieting, all of you listen to me if you want to. Diets, counting calories are ridiculous. Why? Again, no one's been able, can I replace 20 grams protein yogurt with 20 grams? No, they're not, well, I need to explain to you about protein in general. Just give me a couple minutes, okay? How many grams of protein are in your yogurt and how many grams are in your tuna? Because I need to know that. I'm not looking at your canisters, so I don't know. So put that in the chat, and then I'll fill you in. But let me finish for everybody. So what the researchers figured out was that counting calories was stupid and ridiculous because the human body has no idea what a calorie is. Here's what you need to understand about yourself as a human being. You have a minimum amount of nutrition that you need, not calories. Get that out of your mind. So as we're going along in our daily lives, we have a minimum amount of nutrition. Now, why is that important? Because it's only nutrition that runs all your organs, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidney. They run on nutrition. They don't run on calories. So think about what you really do on a diet, if you're honest. On a diet, you're reducing the quantity of food you're consuming. So by definition, what are you also reducing? Nutrition. When that happens, your brain figures you're starving to death because from a nutritional standpoint, you are. It immediately stops accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel. And then as you begin to use your muscles for fuel, it slows down your metabolism. That's why these diets, you lose weight at first, and then it goes to a trickle, and then it plateaus, and you think you did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. The diet itself is flawed to start out with. And then 2/3 of you are gaining more weight than you lost. Does that sound like something you want to do long term? You're going on a diet actually to gain weight? So the researchers said, wait a minute. The only thing that matters to our body is nutrition. Can we go and find foods and put them together that would have large amounts of nutrition but low amounts of quantity? So imagine this was a diet with nutrition in a sense, right? So first they put together a food list of foods they researched, proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. Please put a yes if this makes sense to all of you. Okay, I'm going over exactly what did they do. So 30% of what you would buy or what she got came from the grocery store. But the other 70%, here was one of the keys. So first of all, let me be clear. We don't sell anything to you. The researchers don't sell anything to you. The other 70% of the food came from other researchers who'd gone around the world for 20 years to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition. but small amounts of food from a quantity standpoint. You got it? So 30% from the grocery store, 70% these exotic foods around the world that you can't buy at your supermarket. So don't even ask me about that, okay? Then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food. Listen to this. 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started just with these exotic foods from around the world, no other food. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal, these exotic foods from around the world. You ever heard on a diet where you're having 4 meals a day? I never did. Well, maybe there's some, but this is different, right? Then 2 days a week, so 2 days out of 7, she did something. Now, you're all going to get confused when I tell you this, but I'll explain it to you. She did intermittent nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, absolutely no food from the grocery store at all, only these foods from around the world. But this time, they had her eating, wait do you hear this? 8 times a day. She was eating every hour and a half. Diabetics, you think they had a problem. They thrived. It worked fantastic. In a month's time, diabetics, their insulin levels came down 41% in 30 days. Do you think it works? Look at that, everyone. You bet you bought some. Lean muscle is absolutely your best friend. Can you do that if you eat below your calories? I'm not quite sure what you're saying. You can eat 12 times a day if it's under your. No, let's have we'll agree to disagree. Stop. It has nothing to do with calories. Zero to do with calories. Zero. That's your problem right there. Everybody's problem. Your body has no idea what a calorie even is. Why would you be bringing up calories when the body has no idea what it is? It's about the amount of nutrition that you have. So that's my point. So she consumed tiny amounts of food, but those foods contain huge amounts of nutrition. That's why it worked. You could never do this with regular food. It's not about calorie reduction. It's a good point. Thanks for your comment. And I don't mean to be argumentative. I'm just telling you from a scientific standpoint of view. Again, no one's even told me what a calorie is. That's the other thing, Sop. No one was allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits proving they didn't exercise. So what I'm showing you here is without exercise. So that theory out the window. Because that's what the researchers wanted to prove. What would this do with no exercise? And of course, not that they're against exercise. Of course they're for exercise. I'll show you someone who exercised here in just a moment. But look at that, everyone. 21 pounds and 38 inches in a month. Please tell me anybody else has ever seen anything like this. Who would it be? Stop. How long did it take you to lose 81 pounds? I want to know. Diet, exercise. Well, you should exercise because you will lose. No, stop again. You're not listening. In the studies, no one was allowed to exercise, stop. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. How about that? I know it's hard for you to believe, but you got to understand, we have peer-reviewed human trial medical studies proving it. So again, what you're saying, you could never do this with regular food. You're right, you'd have a problem. But I know that stuns you. 7 months. Oh, well, let's see here. How about this lady? How about 60 pounds in 3 months with no exercise? Look at that. 3 months. I mean, you did awesome. That's wonderful. But it took you 7 months. And you were exercising. You exercise on this, it's off the charts. Let me show you one other thing, too. You talk about your 80 pounds or whatever. Look at this older gentleman. 40 pounds in a month. 40, half of what you lost in 7 months. Look at his stomach already going down dramatically. But look at his blood work. A1C, 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides, 242 to 124 in 30 days. There's no equivalent. There's nothing on the planet like this. And also, there's studies, they're 8 or 9 years old. They've kept the weight up for 8 or 9 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it up for 23 years. That's the only reason to do this. I hope you can keep the weight off. I'm not saying you won't, but 2/3 of people are gaining more weight than they lost on any of these diets. And you obviously dieted and you exercised. Great. The researchers on it. Listen, they've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and Olympians and CrossFit people and marathoners. Of course, they're not against exercise. But for purposes of this study, they felt this protocol that they put together would do what it's doing. There's the proof. I mean, unless you think we're lying or we photoshopped or that's AI, which it's not. But look at that, 40 pounds in a month with no exercise, and he's an older guy. I mean, you talk about weight loss. Look at this. You lost, what was it? I think it was, you said 80 pounds in a year, right? How about, now granted, this guy weighed a lot more than you do, he weighed about 350 pounds. How about 75 pounds and 64 inches in 50 days? Now, granted, he still has some stomach left, but 75 pounds in 50 days? You think you got an equivalent to that? And look at his triglycerides, 278 to 115. Blood pressure, 149 over 81. It dropped to 103 over 64. There's nothing on the planet like this. You're not going to tell me you have something that's equivalent to this, because you don't. The researchers are the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They never saw anything, and they invented it. They thought they were going to have pretty incredible results, but not like this. I mean, look at that. What do you have to say about that, any of you? That's 10 pounds a week with no exercise. I mean, look, I understand what I'm doing. I'm creating skepticism just by being here. I get it. But the thing I have going for me that nobody else does is 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Look, I wrote four best-selling books with some of the biggest doctors and medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed four different times on the four biggest daytime shows in America, and did over 1,500 live lectures around the world at hospitals and medicals and towns. They even flew me to China. And for 22 of my 23 years, you know what that meant in the medical world? Zero. Why? Because there were no peer-reviewed human trial studies. That's why this is so incredible. And look, are you kidding me? The mom and daughter, the daughter's 57 years old. She lost 50 pounds in 90 days. The mom lost 91 pounds in 9 months at 80 years of age. Are you trying to tell me there's an equivalent to that? What would it be? Because I guarantee you, when she started, she couldn't even climb a flight of stairs. This is life-changing. Look, this is the #1 women's magazine in the world, Over 50 Protein Miracle. That's what they're calling it. They researched it. They interviewed in the magazine. They interviewed the top researcher in the world. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is true. It really is true. And I'm not arguing with any of you that you've lost weight, congratulations, whatever. But the other thing, you haven't removed a gram of this. This is a new medical syndrome that I have and you have, SOP, everybody in the world has, called TDOS. It stands for toxicity driven by nutrition deficiency, overweight, and stress. There's never been any diet, any eating plan ever tested that removed even a gram of toxins that are stored in our fat cells in our body until now. These researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving that this was removing the chemicals from our fat cells. That's why his stomach is shrinking. You don't lose fat cells, all of you. If someone tells you you're burning fat, they're lying. There's no such thing medically. You're born with a certain number of fat cells. You die with a certain number of fat cells. The only way you can lose fat cells is liposuction or surgery. So your fat cells either expand, as they did in picture 1 in his stomach, or they contract. And the only way they're going to contract is if you're able to detox your body. But instead of talking about, I'm going to do a detox, they have the medical proof through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight, it's to detoxify your body. End of the story. You don't have to believe me. I mean, look it up. They're now finding microplastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. I don't care what weight you lift, where you run, more bicycles, whatever. We're all ingesting these chemicals. They're in our bodies. They did a huge study. They took 300 really fit athletes. It was called Just Because You're Thin Doesn't Mean You're Healthy. You know what they found? Around all their internal organs, this white halo of this toxic fat called the body's toxic burden. Your body doesn't know what to do with these chemicals. The immune system can't deal with it. So to protect us, the body's taking that chemical and stuffing it inside your fat cells. Does this make sense to everybody? Do you all get this? This is not about fitting in your skinny jeans, your bikini, or well, it's summer now. So I guess bikinis, shorts, whatever you're doing for summer. And see, and I know now they're on diets because their destination, they're going on vacation. They're going to go see their relatives. They're going to a wedding, whatever it might be. But all these diets are always a destination. It's like they lost the weight. Now what? Because the evidence is clear. 2/3 of people dieting gain back more weight than they lost. The other third are going back to pretty much where they started. So what's the point? And you're making yourself so unhealthy by going on a diet, by counting calories. Why? Because your body doesn't run on calories, doesn't know what a calorie is. The only thing your body cares about is nutrition. Even if you do organic, 200 studies proved organic. Nutritionally, it's about 10-15% better than regular food. It's less polluted. That's the reason to eat it, but not because it's that much more nutritious, no matter what they tell you. Because we've ruined the soil in North America, in case you didn't know. That's the D for deficiency. By the way, this is a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. So it's not just a book. It's registered. The Patent Office recognizes a new medical condition that we all have, including me. But what are you doing about removing chemicals from your body? Zero. There's never been a study showing that toxins, for example, come out of your body through sweat. Doesn't happen. So who would like to ask me a question? Hi, please, how? Okay. How are you going to say or what, sir? How are you going to say or what, sir? I don't get that. Encouragement verbs, do you suggest? No, I don't suggest lipo at all. Why would I suggest lipo when, look at this. You tell me. Look at this. Non-invasive. Look at that. Look at her stomach in 37 days with no sit-ups, no exercise of any kind whatsoever. So Tasha, what do you think about that? Give me your comment. What is the best detox? Well, any of the detoxes you're seeing commercially, there's not one shred of medical evidence. This is the first one ever, with blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving that this was assisting our body in removing the chemicals. All these people that are telling you you're going on a detox, they have no medical proof. You show me a peer-reviewed human trial study of any of these details, they don't have it. See, that's the point. We believe the marketing, the hype. But unless the end of the line is a peer-reviewed human trial study on human beings, not monkeys, rats, mice, whatever, chimpanzees. This is why we're so messed up. Right? I mean, listen, where is it? John Hopkins, here it is. John Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are believed to be overweight or obese in 4.5 years. How does that sound? I mean, this is insanity. Why are we even having this discussion? I mean, again, what we want to do for all of you is give you a free, look, right above the magazine article, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website for you to go at any time. Go there. Excuse me, we won't contact you. We don't need to contact you. But we give you free coaching. And we don't sell anything, nor do the researchers. I'm going to explain to all of you, what did they do? What's the best detox? How are you going to say how to detox? Oh, all right, so let's talk about this. So do you know, for example, Corinthian. I see. Okay, I get it now. So Corinthian, all of you, do you all know that last night when you all went to bed, as long as you didn't eat too late at night, once you went to sleep, your body slowed down digestion and automatically, without us doing anything, began to detox. It's called autophagy. It's when the body gets rid of the dead cells, right? But in order to do that, you have to have very little digestion going on in order for the body to truly detox, okay? I promise I'm going to explain to you in greater detail here in just a moment. But let's go back and look at Christian for just a moment. And the evidence, just the superficial evidence there, right? Day 1 and day 30, unless she's sucking it in or holding it back or it's photoshopped, you can see the significant decrease in the area from her hips. Look at her body shrink. There's no liposuction involved. That's shrinking. So how does this work? Corinthians is key. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. Okay, so what did the researchers figure out? First, why don't diets work? Because you're counting calories and the human body has no idea what a calorie is. Again, I've been waiting for someone to give me the definition of a calorie. I've had 2 people in the last year give me the correct medical definition of a calorie. So let's put that aside for a minute. Counting calories is over, it's finished, it's dead if you're on this podcast today. The researchers realized that. What they said was this: our bodies work on one principle, a minimum amount of nutrition in order to run all our organs, from our brain to our heart to our lungs to our kidney. It doesn't run on calories, it runs on nutrition. When you go on a diet, this is what the researchers figured, you're lowering the amount of food you're consuming. And they did 100 studies, so they were doing it to people inadvertently. When you lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're lowering the amount of nutrition. When your brain figures out there's not enough nutrition to power all your organs, it goes and freaks out, goes in starvation mode, and prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel. It's not up for debate. 25 to 40% of what people lose on any diet is lean muscle mass, which automatically slows down your metabolism. You can't control it. Your brain slows it down. But number 2 thing it does to you that's even worse, it actually slows down your own immune system. So going on these diets, you're actually making yourself unhealthy, whether you know it or not. Yeah, it's impressive. Maybe you fit in your skinny jeans, your bikini, whatever it is, temporarily. But the weight you're losing is so unbelievably unhealthy. So the researchers said, wait a minute, we need to change this. The theory would be, let's keep the level of food less food, but go find different foods that had huge amounts of nutrition. So they put together a grocery list, but only 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. And instead of giving her calorie counts, they give her serving sizes. Does this make sense to everybody so far? But only 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store. And here was the key. These researchers who don't have a company, they don't have any products, they don't sell anything. We don't do that either. But these other researchers who for 20 years had gone around the world, to Russia, Mongolia, to Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but very small amounts of food, okay? So now they had the ingredients, right? 30% from the grocery store and 70% of these exotic foods around the world. And then they invented two new ways of consuming. 5 days a week, she did something called protein pacing, where she was having 4 meals a day. Starting with this exotic foods, that was breakfast, no food from the grocery store, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a fourth meal from these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days a week, she was eating 4 times a day. 2 days a week, now here's the detox part. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. This is why it would never work with regular food. On those days, absolutely no food from the grocery store, only these source foods around the world that had tiny amounts of food by volume, but huge amounts of nutrition. So again, the digestive tract was easily using this with very little amount of digestion needed, that turned on what? The natural, this does not detox you. It is your own body doing it. Now, rather than me just making a claim, and it's in the studies, they proved this, this helped the body remove herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants from the body. This isn't made up. This is what actually happened. So all these other detoxes you're seeing, they're giving you marketing hype, because unless they have, blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, it means nothing. It's just nonsense. That's why it works. That's why it's intermittent nutritional fasting. So very little quantity of food, but huge amounts of nutrition, which is very easy for the digestive tract to work on, because there's very little it has to do. And look at the results. Corinthian. Okay, let me show you exactly. She's asking me, or whoever's asking me here. So right there, you can see it on the front, above of the cover of the magazine, the New Health Conversation. Corinthians, you go there, you see the medical proof, and then if you like what you see, you get a free coach. Scroll down, you get a coach. They'll go over all this with you, including what the researchers had put together for the patients who did this in the studies was this. It's called the Blueprint for Success. And what they basically did, all those yellows there are actually daily videos from the researchers explaining this is why it's safe, this is how it works. Now look, keep in mind, they don't sell anything. They don't have any products. They have no doubt. Now, why would they want to do this for everybody? Because this is what they use in the medical studies. And they said, look, we took 40 years to invent this. We want to give everybody the chance to experience it exactly the way we did it, but they're explaining it to you, not your coach. Your coach is there. I mean, the coach has done it. They've gone through the protocol, and there's certainly questions they can answer, or they'll get you the answers. This is not a diet. It's not about, hey, tell me the foods. No, it doesn't work like that. I get people on TikTok. I created a firestorm because I was going to talk to someone about consuming protein. So one of the biggest myths on the planet is this whole thing about consuming protein. Now, why is that a myth? Because protein itself, this is going to make all of you mad, crazy, whatever. Protein itself is an absolute poison to our body. When you ingest protein, but we have to have protein because it contains 20 amino acids, 9 essential amino acids and 11 that are non-essential. But what you don't understand is when you ingest protein from a plant or an animal, the body breaks open the shell of the protein and extracts the amino acids. Well, out of Europe, about 8-9 years ago, they developed a new test through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, where when you ingest protein from plants or animals, they can measure what percentage, 0 to 100, are actually being absorbed by the body, which is the only thing the body cares about. The protein itself cannot be used by the body to make human protein. Let me explain. Because I had people argue with me today, well, this food has a 50 to 60% absorption of protein. Yeah, so what does that mean? The body can't use the protein. I don't give a damn what the absorption is. What's the absorption of the amino acids? Well, someone was asking me before about tuna fish and yogurt. Okay, well, yogurt, because it's, obviously from a plant, is, no, it's not from a plant. What am I talking about? But the absorption of that would be probably around 7 or 8% out of 100. Tuna fish is 30%. The researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids is 91%, the highest absorption of amino acids of any protein on planet Earth. That's why people with no exercise, that's why her body, or Julie's a better example even. Look at this. With no exercise, look at the change. Where's the loose skin? She's literally building lean muscle. No one was allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. But look at what happened. You can't do this with regular food. I mean, but also you have to understand it's a combination. The protein source was reacted to break it down because of other elements, things like 21 naturally occurring vitamins, like 70 trace ionic minerals. There were a lot, these exotic foods had things, either huge quantities of or simply nutrients that don't exist in North America. But look at that result, everybody. That's 37 days, 35 pounds. Or April, this is even better. The daughter of a friend of mine, 60 pounds in 3 months. 60. Look at her arms, look at her neck, look at her waist. Now, most people think it's not the same woman. I'd love for anybody to comment. Is it the same woman? Are we lying to you? Is it fake? Is it? I get people on here that really make me laugh because they just want to take me on with all this nonsense. They go like, well, every peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're funded by the pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. So, see, they don't understand when you do a peer-reviewed human trial study and submit it to these journals, you have to sign over all the rights to the study. The reason these other companies and diets won't do it, because if you submit your work and they send it out, which they do, the journals, they don't do the analysis. They send it out to the world-class medical doctors and researchers who validate or disvalidate, I don't even know if that's a word, discredit your work. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. We have 10 of them. I mean, I didn't do them, but there are 10 that were on this protocol. But see, they don't understand that when you do the study, like even a pharmaceutical, they have to sign over. They have no input on the final outcome. They don't know what they're talking about. They make up stuff. I guess it makes them feel good. They don't like me, so they want to take me on. I'm on your side, all of you that really want to learn. Do you want to know? Do you want to be able to do what she did with no exercise? Yes or no? You're all counting calories. Let's be honest, you are. And yet you can go and see for free. Look, this came out on June 6th, yesterday. Women's World, the #1 women's magazine in the world, on the cover endorsed, look at over 50 protein miracle. But it's not just about the protein. There's a lot more involved. If you can read the close-up caption there, right underneath, backed by 10 peer-reviewed, powerful new eating pattern, can take off weight faster than anything else you've tried. That's them. We didn't get to do anything on this. I'm proud. I coach these two women. I know them. I mean, the daughter's 57. She lost 50 pounds in 3 months. The mom, 80 years old, lost 91 pounds in 9 months. And they've kept it off for 2 years. Oh, I guess it says that up there in the headline. I know you're all struggling with believing something like this exists. But there's so much misinformation. We've just been, I'll be politically correct, we've been misinformed. Well, if 4.5 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese, do you think we've been misinformed? Would anybody like to support diets? Oh, one is taller. You mean the women or the picture? You're talking about April. This one, they're talking about that, right? Yeah, well, they're standing in two different places. Look at see above her head on the right, you can see the smoke alarm up there, and on the left, look at the thing. So they're not on the same plane. But I promise you, it is absolutely, well, I do, Corinthians. I really care about society because this saved my life 23 years ago. 23 years ago, I was given 18 months to live because my cholesterol was 400, my triglycerides were 300. I was 40 pounds overweight. And I did diet, exercise, and Lipitor for 8 weeks, lost 8 pounds, and my cholesterol only came down 15 points. A friend of mine who played professional football for the Oakland Raiders turned me on to this concept of detox. I lost 8 pounds in 4 days. 12 pounds in 9 days, 20 pounds in 18 days, 30 pounds in a month, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. You'd think that's the best part of my story. The next week was 8 weeks from my last visit. This time my doctor comes in, throws my chart down and says, how much statins are you taking? I said, and I'm not telling any of you to do what I did. I'm just telling you my story because we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, make any medical proclamations. I'm just sharing my story. He said, my God, how much statin? Peter, you're trying to kill yourself? How much statin are you taking? I said, Doc, I haven't touched this stuff in 8 weeks. He said, well, then we need to retest you. I said, why? My cholesterol went from 400 to 120. My triglycerides went from 300 to 30. I lost 40 pounds. And he basically said, we think you have a disease. We've never seen anyone lose 40 pounds in 7 weeks. But I believe that I'm here to do this and to take the slings and arrows and all the pushback and all the people that want to argue with me and fight with me. And for whatever reason, none of it's my research. That's what's so silly about all this. They want to argue with me. I'm just showing you the evidence. That's all I'm doing. And you all are going to get to go, if you want, to that website for free. Then it's free coaching, for crying out loud. You're right. What are the exotic foods? Sounds like what Dr. Sebi had said decades ago. I'm not familiar with Dr. Sebi. Are you talking about dead doctors don't lie? Was that Dr. Sebi? I'm not sure. Tell me who that is. And yeah. Who else would like 91 would be sea kelp, seaweed. Again, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. Are you talking about minerals? Or are you talking about, I mean, sea kelp, it's fine, but it's not, they're not necessarily trace ionic minerals, which are the most important minerals on the planet. Oh, 91 aminos? No such thing. There's 20 amino acids. There's 9 essential and 11 non-essential. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. So if it's 91 aminos, then I guess I need to learn something about it because there's 20 amino acids. So who else would like to ask me a question? Aren't you all curious? It contains themes that some find uncomfortable and have been restricted. Reason violates community. What possibly did I violate? I mean, what are we talking about here? Amigos and minerals. Amigos, I'm not sure. Because I don't understand. I'm only presenting medical proof. I'm only showing you medical proof backed up by medical studies. I don't know why anybody would find offensive what we're talking about when it's in the public domain, it's medically backed, it's all real. I don't know what else to say to all of you. So who else would like to ask a question about this? Maybe about how she did it. It's TikTok. Well, I understand that, but I want to be very clear. We stay within the community guidelines. We're not here to, disparage anybody or do anything that's not within those community guidelines. So I'm kind of shocked. And I did a disclaimer in the beginning for all you censors that this is all in the public domain. Everybody can read these medical studies. They're not claims. They're in the public domain. So I guess maybe I'm going to have to appeal that or whatever is involved. Someone reported me for what, I wonder? I mean, I can't imagine what I did that would offend anybody. I mean, unless you don't like the truth. If you don't like the truth, then I guess you're on the wrong podcast because we only deal in medical facts here. We don't give people opinions. So who else would like to ask me a question? Because I'm going to end this in about another, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I'm just curious. We're only at 58 likes. That doesn't sound too good to me. Can we get some people tapping on the screen so we can get some more likes at least? So who else would like to take a look at what we have on the agenda here? And again, you can all see, I mean, I just say, look at April. Is that the same woman? It is. It's the daughter of a friend of mine. We didn't Photoshop it. It's absolutely real. So I'm just really curious. Oh, it's Corinthians sent me a heart. Thank you very much. And we're only at 58 likes. 58, really? That's pretty interesting. So who would like to comment, question, whatever? Nobody? Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the first page and just show all of you. You're more than welcome to go to that website. There's nothing to buy there. It's all free knowledge, information, scientific proof at the new, you can see it's in blue right above their heads, the new health conversation, and then you see coaching to ensure your success in black. It's free coaching, absolutely free. Good, Corinthians, go to the website. It's right there for all of you to see. So would anyone else like to ask me a question? I got a rose and a heart. That's great. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Corinthians. Who else would like to ask me a question? No, there's no pills, Corinthians. No, it's not pills. It's food, basically. Well, I guess there is one pill, but it's not, it's for something else. It's not even for the weight loss. Well, number one, the only vitamins that we do are part of this. They're what are called naturally occurring. They're not made in a laboratory, and that's one of the downfalls. Almost all the vitamins out there are synthetic, and synthetic, they're okay, but they're not as what we call efficacious, meaning absorbable in the body as a natural occurring vitamin. And there are 21 naturally occurring vitamins in these food groups that they used that came from around the world, if that makes sense. So, all right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you will go to the website. I've been losing so much hair being on a calorie deficit. Any recommendations? Yeah, Jada, get on this protocol. If anything, women talk about how their hair is thriving. Their skin looks like it's never looked before. Because if that's happening to you, you're in a nutritional deficit. I can tell you that right away. Does that make sense, Jada? But Jada, it's free to go to that website, the New Health Conversation. You can see it right there. Got it? Yeah, I think that's probably correct, Corinthians, to be quite honest with you, but I have to stay neutral, and I do. So, all right, I'm going to say goodbye for now, everybody. It's now 2:30 on the East Coast. I'd say give me about an hour, and I'll come back on and I'll do another podcast, okay? Thank you all very much for being here today.